Hey guys, welcome back to another live stream. Of course, today a bit more chill. Today we're talking about fashion trends, we're talking about Valentine's Day, and we will also be talking about why India might be the next big luxury market for a lot of these luxury brands. But I hope everyone is doing good. I hope all of you are doing very well. Just see if I have all my files ready to go. All my files ready to go. Okay, everything is looking good. Also, you guys might have noticed that I'm doing the streams a lot earlier in the day. This is my attempt to have a more normal sleeping pattern. So we'll see how long that lasts before I revert back to streaming at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and doing all that crazy stuff. So yeah, we'll see about that. But anyway, the first video I wanna the first thing we're gonna do, I want to react to a video by Mayazine. Mayazine is a channel that I'm a fan of. I like Mayazine's videos, and when I react to people's videos, I normally shout out the channel. So go subscribe to Mayazine. Really good trend videos, asking fashion students questions, those kind of videos. So yeah, it's really cool. But I wanted to react to one of her videos where she was interviewing fashion students and they were giving their trend predictions for 2025. So let's have a look and let's see what they were talking about. So let's see.
It's gonna be skinny jeans because the whole indie sleeves thing is coming back.
Baggy jeans trend is kind of ending.
I know five-toe shoes is becoming such a thing, unfortunately.
Still want the Onitsuka Tigers.
Head layering, because I love to do multiple things on top of my head at the same time.
The short, booty shorts from Tumblr. Skinny jeans, I feel like that's a very popular one.
And then you really see people's...
It's so interesting that everyone in this video is saying skinny jeans, which I kind of agree with in a sense, because the way fashion seems to be going back to the 70s and 80s specifically. We've talked about this constantly. I mean, Kendrick Lamar was an ode to the 70s with the bell bottoms. We have the likes of Anthony Vaccarello and what YSL was doing, and sort of an 80s aesthetic. And so simultaneously you have people wearing skinny jeans but then also wearing bell bottoms. So I think it's interesting. Toe shoe is an industry plant. Wasn't it on the Balenciaga show, that collection that had the Lamborghini collaboration as well? I mean, Balenciaga have always done it, but I think it's just becoming a big thing now.
People's, a sense of identity get lost within the aesthetics.
I feel like it's just more dramatic.
Hello beautiful people of the internet, welcome back to my senior digital fashion magazine. Last video, we saw what trends New York City fashion students wanted to jump out of the window. And today we're going to be seeing what trends they want to jump back inside the window. Their trend predictions, the things that they're loving to see. All of this is very subjective, so I don't want anyone getting offended in the comments. Comment below what things you think.
Yeah, I always find it weird when people get offended by people's opinions in the comments. It's someone thinks a trend is, they're making predictions. There's no, this person's dumb, and that people are strange. But yeah, it's crazy that she had to have that disclaimer. I don't know why people get so sensitive about these things. It's really odd, really strange.
You think are underrated right now in fashion that you love rocking, and let's see what their juicy opinions are. Let's go. Let's go.
I know five-toe shoes is becoming such a thing, unfortunately. Yeah. I was here before.
So maybe I'm slow, but five-toe shoes, are they becoming more of a thing, or have they always been a thing? I feel like they've, the Vibram stuff with Balenciaga, someone said Avav had a pair. They seem like the kind of brand that would put that on the runway too. Is it becoming more of a thing? Because I haven't necessarily noticed more and more people wearing five toes, but it's definitely a thing. I can definitely agree with that.
I kind of feel like baggy jeans trend is kind of ending. More kind of straight fitted pants are coming.
Well, I'm gonna say what I want to wear, and I think other people should wear too. I feel like a lot of studded accessories, spiky things, and lace.
I don't know, it's a challenging question for me because maybe Maddie could agree. I feel like we don't think about trends very much.
Yeah. Trends for herself.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. I want to wear more. I do want to wear more black. I'm so bad at wearing black, and I want to wear more black and be expressive in that way and figure out a way.
Straight fits, I think. Like, you see a bit of it, but like for I think last year and the year before it was baggies or like a lot of baggies. But I think we're gonna go back into like a slimmer fit, closer to the body, like form-fitting clothes.
I definitely agree with that. The sort of like form-fitting thing, because I think every single, minimalism brand, tailoring brand, they all have the same wide, sort of boxy silhouette, and I think a lot of people are getting tired of it. So I think things will definitely seemingly move to a slimmer silhouette. I think that's definitely going to happen. If it's not this year, it's definitely going to happen in 2026 for sure.
They're coming back.
Yeah. It's gonna be skinny jeans because like the whole like indie sleeves thing is coming back, so it's like a whole hipster thing. But the whole thing is like skinny jeans with like boots. Like I think skinny jeans are only gonna work if it's like a wedge or like a tall like skinny boot. I don't think skinny jeans are gonna come back with like just sneakers. Does that make sense?
Also maximalism. I think maximalism is gonna like just like maxing out and having like a bunch of different like even like just take this for example.
This guy, whatever his name is cooking with the trend predictions. Maximalism, yes, I can also see that mainly because once again, because every brand seems to be paring things back. And I always say there's so many brands that look the same these days. It's the issue I had with the new Gucci, because Gucci didn't really have its own identity. It kind of looked like a mixed match of so many other brands that exist. So I think, and of course, because fast fashion brands copy what all these brands are doing and what's trending from these brands. So I think people are kind of getting tired with minimalism, and things will start to move back to maximalism. So yeah, this guy's cooking.
Like he has like a bunch of different things going on here, like a bunch of different like styles fused together in one, but it still like looks good in a way. So I think people just mixing styles and putting things together is gonna like experimentation and stuff like that.
Honestly, especially what I see most in social media and like the more that I see it is that we're like really overflow with data on like especially trends and like the way things works. We see like the course and everything that happens around that, and I feel like it really like limits expression and agency for people a lot of the times, just because there's something that you'll really like out there that you see other people doing it might not mean that it's necessarily the thing that you love yourself. And I see sometimes people falling into the aesthetics of things just because it's easily accessible and acquirable, but then there's not really much thought that goes behind it, and then you really see people's a sense of identity get lost within the aesthetics. So I guess just
Well, this is normal. I mean, what this person here is describing is extremely normal. I mean, that's the issue I have with trends most times, because of how people interact with trends. I don't think trends are inherently wrong. I think fashion changes in general. That's always been a thing. However, I think there's a lack of individuality within the trends. What you're supposed to use trends and see kind of what you like and what fits into your own aesthetic or how you want to dress. And it's more, you should see it more as like something to add to your wardrobe rather than completely changing your wardrobe to the trends. And that's the issue, because then that leads to overconsumption, that leads to people dilly-dallying from aesthetic and not really having any sort of cohesive aesthetic, and not really, building silhouettes and stuff like that, figuring out what works for their body, all that kind of stuff. So it's not even good for the environment. It's bad for so many reasons also. But that's a normal thing. That's a very, very normal thing, actually. Let's see what Alex said. I feel maximalism will be bigger in 2026. We are still in a recession and most people go with minimalism/basics. Yes, but I also think sometimes in recessions people rebel. So you think of like the 60s, for example. The 60s was a time when a lot of people were struggling, but then people were like, you know what? We're going to rebel and we're going to dress a different way. So I think not every single time when there's a recession, people, are just like paring things back and being minimal. It happens sometimes, but not all of the time.
it's just more so that it's really corny, but be yourself genuinely and like find things that you enjoy personally for yourself.
Skinny jeans, I feel like that's like a very popular one. But also, I'm sick of crop shirts. I'm sick of like crop long sleeve shirt. Like I just want a long sleeve shirt that's gonna like cover my stomach and not be cropped so I wouldn't be freezing.
I've been really liking the honestly like riding boot style like that. I feel like I've been seeing that a lot recently on like runways and stuff. I've been loving people carrying their bags like holding them from the base like that. I don't know. I just like that vibe.
I feel like Miu Miu's been kind of having a moment. I think the most recent runway was really cool, where it's like it incorporated business attire, but like being slouchy and had like swimwear and stuff like that. I kind of like, I guess, the business casual, but turned down a little bit. I think that's cool.
I love layering. I am so excited for.
I mean, what makes the Miu Miu stuff cool is it's basically business casual for the modern person, right? Because that's how people go to the office now. People don't dress as seriously or as corporate as they used to unless you work in certain industries like finance. So it's actually suitable to dress that way, and kind of Miu Miu is not inventing the wheel. They're kind of just presenting what kind of already exists. They're almost kind of sitting perfectly in the current zeitgeist. That's basically what Miu Miu is doing.
For layers, and it gets really, really cold, so I'm excited for that. I literally just saw someone walking by wearing like skirts and pants together, and I do that sometimes, and I love that a lot. Also, chunky boots.
For me, it's definitely like hat or like head layering, because I love to do multiple things on top of my head at the same time. I think more people need to do that.
Still want the Onitsuka tigers.
Yes.
Do you have any? No.
No.
My friends have, and I really want the silver ones, so that's like on the wish list.
I'm loving a French braid right now.
Being more intentional about what you buy, and also like thinking about if you can like see yourself wearing this like next year or even like a couple years down the line, and being like more resourceful and mindful about stuff like that.
I'm looking forward to long, like very maxi skirts, and she's got a really cute one actually, like the lacy maxi skirts. I feel like it's just more dramatic.
But I do love how people are like accessorizing their sneakers and just like accessorizing all that with like all the little bows, the beads, the pearls. I definitely want to see more of that. So for this fall, I'm definitely loving that kind of like vintage grandmother aesthetic, oversized knit sweaters that have all the crazy prints. And I know those go for extremely expensive now, but I just love seeing.
I'm not gonna lie, those just look like Christmas sweaters that we wear in the UK. Those are the kind of sweaters people wear when Christmas comes around.
Such unique pieces like that.
Wear more dresses casually. I haven't like I feel really formal if I wear a dress, and so like I want to find more stuff that I could wear on the day-to-day. Most of my casual outfits lean towards mask, and then like my like special outfits lean toward femme, and I want to like be able to mix them up a little bit more.
I think for me, just like pattern tights or like tights with like printed graphics on it, I think those are really fun, and I'm trying to incorporate more color into my wardrobe because literally my closet looks like a hole, like just like a black hole. So I just like make things a little bit more fun and be more playful with my attire.
This is probably not a trend, but I really want to try metal armbands like for the upper arm. I think that would be sick. Or armor, like armor in general. I would totally do that if it wasn't so expensive.
I want to learn how to wear heels because I can't walk in it. I want a cute little girly heel like a lady.
The short, like booty shorts from Tumblr. I wouldn't wear those, but I respect it if other people wear it.
Just kind of generally over the past couple years.
Wait, what was she talking about? The booty shorts from Tumblr? Like, what period? Because, I mean, we were using Tumblr for a very long time. So you talking about like the sort of Y2K booty shorts, or like what exactly?
Years like Y2K fashion has been really big, and like I've always like been very drawn to it, especially because growing up watching early 2000s media. So again, even in my low-key fits, it's very inspired by that.
Yeah, Siobhan, I'm actually with you when it comes to the fun tights. I think it's a good style tip because if you're wearing all black, you can kind of add texture and color to your outfit by wearing colored tights and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. But I don't know if that's a trend because people have always done that. I feel like people have always done that. And I don't think all of a sudden more people are going to start doing that, but it's a good style tip for sure. Style hack 101.
That. I really love the comeback of especially like skinnier like Y2K sunglasses. I lost my pair recently, and that's something I definitely need to search for to find a good pair again.
I don't know if it's really a trend, but I'm excited as it's getting colder to see everybody's furs come back out again. I love the use of vintage fur. It's so warm and beautiful.
So fur, yes. So many runway shows during the menswear season had fur on some sort, fur trimmings, just complete fur jackets. Obviously, most of them want real fur because real fur is kind of becoming outlawed in fashion these days. So they're all like some form of like synthetic fur or whatever. But that's definitely something that's coming. Like we couldn't get away from fur this recent menswear season for sure.
Those fur hats I actually really love. I've been trying to like find one specifically, but they never fit me.
Alrighty, so this was the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I say that every time, but it's true. I really hope you enjoyed the video because I put a lot of hours into it. I have a second channel where I talk about more serious stuff like relationships and self-care and work-life balance. So if you're interested.
Okay, the video is basically done. But yeah, that was a cool little, you know, fashion predictions video. Shout out to Mayazine, big fan of her channel. I really enjoy like watching some of the videos that she makes. So yeah, it's cool. What do you guys think though? What do you guys think are going to be the trends moving forward? I think boot cuts and bell bottoms, and some people don't even. I saw in my comment section on my Kendrick Lamar video, people don't actually know there's a difference between boot cuts and bell bottoms. But I think both of them are coming back because it's just like 70s, 80s revival. I think that's where fashion is going. So I think that's going to be like a really huge trend for sure. And maximalism, even I saw some of you in the chat saying that you don't necessarily think it's going to come as early as I think it will. And maybe it might come next year. Maybe I can see that, but I know it's going to come soon. It's definitely going to come soon. I should do ASMR, really? I don't think my voice is that nice, to be fair. It isn't that nice. Yeah, everyone's saying boot cuts and crop jackets together. Trends are getting ugly again. I'm sticking to my mum jeans. That's the thing about trends. Just because something is trendy doesn't mean you have to adopt it into your style. You just observe the trends and then see if you like it and if you want to adopt it, but it's not compulsory. I think the biggest issue with fashion now is that everyone, especially younger kids more so, feel like they need to fit into the new trend. So they're always cycling their wardrobes. It's really bad. Siobhan says, I feel like we have microtrends and personal style still, but nothing really defining with the downfall of luxury and celebrities. Yeah, that's true. What did I think about the Tom Brown show? So I haven't seen the Tom Brown show. I've seen snippets, as I always do. But I'm going to be reviewing it soon, though. I will be reviewing it. Are we moving on from Y2K looks? I don't think so. I think we're kind of, where we're going in fashion, we're kind of adopting aspects of Y2K with, you know, aspects of the 80s and 70s. I feel like the next era is going to be a mix of that. Fashion desperately clamoring for identity, causing it to endlessly regurgitate the styles of the past instead of heading in a new direction. Yeah, this is one of my issues with designers mainly, because a lot of designers, they look back too much and it's quite annoying. It's like, why don't you take inspiration from just things that aren't even to do with clothes and try to use that to kind of push fashion forward? Everyone's like, yeah, like I referenced this Margiela collection, or it's so, because then it's just a regurgitation of what we've seen already. I'd rather designers try to push things forward or try to modernize stuff. That's why I was a big fan of Anthony Vaccarello's YSL collection, because he's trying to modernize an Yves Saint Laurent boot for men in 2025. So I'm a fan of designers that actually try. So yeah, that's that. But anyway, guys, next we want to talk about Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is fast approaching, and I thought it would be absolutely hilarious to go through some fashion magazines and see what they are, you know, suggesting that people buy for, you know, him or her, his or hers, what they're suggesting people buy during Valentine's Day. Also, an important thing to note is that you need to remember that a lot of these magazines, because I'm going to be looking at GQ and Vogue, they have sponsors and they have partners. So it's highly likely that a lot of the gifts are kind of, you know, some of them might be paid for, it might be their sponsors or their partners. So it's really important to mention that also. But let's have a look what the best Valentine's Day gifts for her that she is sure to love in 2025. That's a big promise, Vogue. That she's sure to love. Okay, that interesting. Let's see. Let's see if we've got a lot of women in this live stream. So let's see if these gifts you are sure to love if someone got this for you. So we have a silk satin pajama set. We've got these Greek sandals. I mean, first of all, if I'm buying a gift for someone, to be very honest, a pajama set is not something that I would want to buy because I might get their size wrong and that's a disaster. So I would want to get them something that I'm less likely to get like the sizing wrong or something like that. So I would be more likely to buy, if I was buying someone like a Valentine's gift, it would be something that doesn't need sizing. Like I wouldn't buy them footwear either because it might not fit perfectly. So the first two definitely not fitting it. The Jackie shoulder bag and the sunglasses. So the shoulder bag is a good gift. Super expensive though. That's kind of like a gift if you're rich, I guess. But I think it's a good gift, like the Jackie bag. Sunglasses is a bit difficult. Once again, I don't think I would buy sunglasses for someone because sunglasses, depending on the frame and someone's head shape, it might not fit right. And they might struggle to put it on. Like I personally, because of my head shape, can't wear any pair of sunglasses. Some sunglasses, because of my head, they literally fall off of my eyes because of like the way my head is shaped. So I wouldn't really buy sunglasses for someone for Valentine's Day. Same thing. It's like anything that has to do with size, I would steer clear from that. Same thing. Polo shirt, I wouldn't really buy someone that. A silk scarf, I definitely think could be a really good gift. Yeah, Joseph top, I wouldn't buy that. Savage Fenty lace thong, I definitely wouldn't be buying that for someone. Taekwondo stripes, leather trainers, footwear. I'm not too footwear. I don't really think it works because it might not fit properly. The leather wallet, I think that's a really good gift, and it's not going to be as expensive as, you know, like a really big bag. So I think that's definitely like a really good gift, to be fair. Everyone's laughing about the the thong. Yeah, these lists are paid ads for the most part, but the reason why I'm talking about it is we can kind of together react and talk about just the concept of Valentine's Day gifts and kind of what constitutes a good gift for Valentine's Day. Let me know, the women in the stream, am I cooking right now in terms of the sizing and stuff, or am I wrong? Would you not mind if someone bought you like a footwear or a pair of pajamas or stuff like that, even if there's like a risk that the size could be off? The duality of man. Either give the auntie silk pajamas or pink Rihanna thongs. Okay, Michaela said these gifts absolutely suck. I feel these are all safe, but rather impersonal. Well, of course they're going to be impersonal because it's like a generic list. But I still think there are some, like the bags, like I said, I'd be more likely to gift that to someone. A scarf, I think, is a good gift. Okay, I'd rather have a voucher. Interesting. I've always felt like if I give someone a voucher, it comes across like I didn't put any thought into the gift, and therefore it's not like people might feel a bit pissed off, like, oh, you just bought this voucher last minute. That's always why I always feel a bit iffy to give someone a voucher. But I do think that receiving a voucher is definitely a good gift because then you can just use it to buy whatever you want rather than someone having to do like guesswork. But I think societally it's seen as a very lackluster, low effort gift. Can we agree flowers are kind of a scam? Yeah, for sure. So me personally, I like flowers. My only issue is I just don't know how to take care of flowers. They always go bad really quickly. So in that sense, if I'm going to spend, because some flowers cost so much money, like really good flowers, I would just rather spend money on something that someone can use over the long term. Like, you know, I don't know, like perfume or just something that you can use over a really long period. No jewelry, would love a quality chain for pendants. I already have. Oh, that's a good suggestion, actually. I think fashion people rather want money than being surprised and then not liking it. Yeah, exactly. That's probably why, like I said, I wouldn't really buy someone clothes or like eyewear. I definitely wouldn't do that. Even gloves are a bit sticky because once again, you have no clue someone's hand size and you could get that all wrong. You could really get that all wrong. I think the wallets, belts, depending on what their style is, these kite belts look very Y2K-ish. But if that was someone's style, I think that's a good gift. We see some more bags. Socks, I think, is a disaster of a gift. Boots, yeah, the footwear, I would shy away from that. You don't really know if it's going to fit right. Okay, so that's the clothing gifts. Now there's a new section, jewelry gifts. So I guess that answers the question earlier. You've got some jewelry here. All these gifts are probably going to be good. There might be sizing issues with things like bracelets. So I would, if I was getting someone a gift, I wouldn't really get them a bracelet. I would get them like a pendant for a necklace. I'd get them a necklace. Maybe not a choker because once again, people have different neck sizes. You might get them a choker and it's not big enough and then it's literally suffocating her. So I wouldn't I wouldn't really do that. Alyssa says, not gonna lie, this list isn't that bad. You just need a big budget. I know, right? Like imagine buying someone like a Blondie bag for Valentine's Day. Like you guys must be rich. Must be really, really rich. This is also true, like rings are very difficult to buy too because people's different finger sizes. So I would buy someone more like, yeah, chain pendants, chains, adjustable bracelets, or maybe like a really cool like vintage watch because watches, it's easy to adjust like the chain. What I do usually is get what I know they'd love, be it glasses, clothes, but with a gift receipt. That way they get to change it if size does not go well or shape. That's a good idea, to be honest. That's actually a really good idea, although do you want people to know how much you spent on their gift? I feel maybe this is like a really British thing. I feel like it's quite... I don't know. If you have the receipt, then it's like, oh, look at how much I spent. It's a bit, you know what I mean? Disco saying I'm rich. I receive the blessings. One day I'll be rich, and I'll take all my subscribers out. We'll go on holiday. I'll be like, first 5,000 people to comment gets a free flight to the Maldives. Or something. But moving on. Okay, ear cuffs. That could be a cool... I think earrings are also a really good gift. Because earrings, once again, it's... a lot of different people can wear them. So earrings I also think would work. Okay, someone's saying gift receipts don't tell you the price. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Because, yeah, I don't think I've ever printed a gift receipt ever. Because I just, like, even if I buy someone a gift, I just buy them the gift. I don't ask for a gift receipt. So, okay, that's interesting. I had a lot of girls coming in to get something else. Gift us all a holiday. That's funny. Okay, beauty and wellness. I think there's a lot of beauty. I talked about fragrances earlier. Okay, cool. We've got fragrances. I think it's very easy to buy someone like these kind of... I've bought so many friends candles as gifts because so many of my friends love candles like me. And for the most part, even though you don't necessarily know their taste in candles, in terms of smells, you can kind of guess. If you know their personality and stuff, you kind of have an idea. You know, you kind of have an idea of what they would like generally. So I think yes, you can work with fragrances. On here they've got the new Bottega fragrances. I'm very sure that's a commercial push. I don't know how much money Vogue got for that, but that's definitely like a commercial thing. Lipstick, I think, is probably one of the worst gifts you can buy someone. Like, lipstick is such a, like... Because lipstick, people have so many different skin tones and undertones. It's like, how would you possibly know the right shade of lipstick to buy and even that they would like it unless you're just buying lipstick that you know they already own? That's the only way you could really go with that. Like if I knew, like I had a female friend and I knew exactly what lipstick she liked and she had it, then I would get it. But other than that, unless you know what they actually use, like, that would be a horrible. That's a disaster waiting to happen. To be fair, if you buy someone lipstick, try to play, guesswork with the lipstick. This is a really good gift, by the way. Dries Van Noten Discovery sets. Discovery sets are also really good because you get like these products in very small quantities and then the person can find out what they like. You could even go one further and be like, I'll get you a discovery set and then based on the one you like, then I could get you that specific thing. That's more like a gift I would get for like my girlfriend, not like a not a friend. Who says female friend? Well, because these are technically marketed, like this is a list for Valentine's gifts that she will certainly love. So that's why I'm specifying and saying female friend, because these gifts are marketed towards women based on the article. But yeah, discovery sets I think are really good gifts. 5-toe shoes would be some kind of a good idea. Be careful with jewelry. There are lots of bad tastes out there and crap in it that can cause ugly allergies. So a voucher isn't that bad at the end with something personal would be great. That is true though, because yeah, a lot of jewelry has some like really questionable metals in it. And people have reactions to that for sure. And cheap metals also. Those like really cheap pieces of jewelry that make your skin go green and stuff. Really, really like bad stuff. Bomber jackets, jean jackets, fitted pants, and chunky shoes are in again from what I've seen. Oh, okay, you're talking about trends. But yeah, let's see what else they've got in store for us. Pocket blush. I don't know about all of that. Face mask, maybe. I don't, with beauty products, like skincare stuff, like specifically, I think those are really horrible gifts unless once again you know the kind of skincare products they use, because same thing, people have different types of skin, people have combination skin, they have dry skin, they have oily skin, and so their skincare is tailored to the kind of skin that they have, and there might be certain ingredients in certain beauty products that people have allergies to, and they might have experimented with things over the years to find what finally works for their skin. So yeah, buying someone like serums and moisturizers, that's a shit show of a gift, to be honest. I think that's a really bad gift. Skincare stuff, I think you should stray away from that unless you know exactly what they use. I'd rather have a spa day with my partner than be gifted skincare. Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I'm definitely with you. Yeah, just gift them gift cards. Yeah. I would give them a gift card to like a beauty brand or a beauty shop rather than buy them skincare. That's not a good gift at all, in my opinion. But let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know though. This vanilla camouflage is a really nice fragrance, by the way. It smells really like weird, but I like it. It's like good weird. Diptyque candles. I think candles are a great gift. Gift for the gourmand. Okay, you got some cooking utensils. You've got a hamper. These are way easier gifts to give people. Like a pan. You can't really go wrong with these kind of things, right? Chocolate, it depends. Not everyone likes chocolate, but it's a very common gift that people give people. Macarons, that could be like really cool. Kitchen scales. I think it depends because some people have so many scales, so it'll just be like they won't even open the box. I don't know if that's the greatest of gifts. Plates, I don't really know because people have really specific taste in plates and they might already have loads at home. So I don't really know if like people want a set of 10 of the same plates and then some random colored plate. on the side. I don't know about that as a gift. But food, drinks, and stuff is a lot easier of a gift. A cooking book is that could work. It doesn't matter who someone is. Like, people can always benefit from a cooking book. A grinder's a good gift. That's a really good gift, to be fair. £60 matcha whisks. Like, how dare you? So expensive. So expensive. Siobhan says, pistachio lemon cakes. Give it to me. Give it to me. Yeah, the ideas are really crappy. I have to agree. Yeah, maybe I need to compile my own Valentine's Day gift set. Or like Valentine's Day, gifts, because maybe I'll do that next year because it's already too close to Valentine's Day. But yeah, some of these gifts are a bit questionable, to be fair. Flute glasses. I mean, I like the design of these glasses. This could be a good gift because it's a set of 4. So it's enough where, someone can actually just put the set of 4 in their cabinet and it looks really nice and aesthetic. If you're buying people like single plates and single cups, I'm not, don't do that. Yeah, this is also true. They might not have space to store the plates. The cupboards are already full. In my opinion, it's way easier to gift someone as a kind of insider. It makes everything more special. Facts. Facts. Let's see. Bedding? I don't know about that as a gift. Scented candles. Okay, let's see. For exercise enthusiasts, let's see if they get this right. Once again, clothing, unless I know the person, I really know their size. And even then, if you know someone's size, it still doesn't really mean anything because so many clothing sizing is just like random. You just have to try it on. I don't really know about that. Ankle weights, yes. Electronics is always a good gift. So like, I don't know, like headphones, AirPods, those kind of things there's always a use for things like that. I think those aren't that bad of a gift. This isn't bad, like a running vest. I've had a running vest for like 3 to 4 years. I went for a run today actually, and I was wearing my running vest. That's a really good gift. Like, people that go for runs always need a running vest, and you can't have too many because you need more than one. Like, I have multiple because you sweat, and then you need to wash those ones, and then you use the other one. But I think it's just someone said gifting exercise gear is crazy. I guess it's crazy if it's perceived like you're gifting them gear because you're almost indirectly saying you need to lose weight. So here is some gifting. Here is some, workout clothing so you can start to go to the gym. In that sense, yes, it is a bit crazy, but if you're buying someone workout gear, you have to know the context. I'm imagining that it wouldn't be in that context. Like, there wouldn't be any circumstance where they could see it that way. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. But it is kind of crazy. Okay, my running vest. So I use it to hold my phone, my house keys, and energy gel. That's only if I'm going on a really long run. If I'm not going on a long run, then it's just my phone and my house keys. And then sometimes I might take water if it's really hot, or some form of liquid. So that's why I use my running vest. And then I also think it looks cool. I genuinely think part of it is also, I feel like when you run with a running vest, you kind of look like a serious runner. So it's kind of like, yeah, look at me, I'm wearing a running vest. Like, it's like, oh, this guy's a serious runner. So part of it is kind of like an accessory in a way. But I do need something to hold my keys. And I don't like holding keys in pockets because they jingle around too much and they go all over the place, even when I have like zips in my pocket. So it's not great. And I like balance because when I wear my running vest, I put my phone on the left-hand side and the keys on the right-hand side. So like everything's balanced. You just put one on and you can customize how heavy it is with small weights, as well as carrying water your phone. Yeah, this is also true. So I'm not that advanced when it comes to running. I haven't actually put weights in my running vest yet. But yes, people do that for sure. And to be honest, the running rest would go hard. It definitely would. Let's see what GQ is saying in terms of gifts for men. Let's see what they say. The best Valentine's gift for him that he actually wants to receive. Why do they give such, strong promises? They could have just said the best Valentine's gifts for him. Why did they have to add that he actually wants to receive? These are some strong promises. Let's see. Let's see what they have for us. Personalized Valentine's beers. Interesting. I don't know if I don't know if that's that great of a gift. I guess it's good because it's personalized, but I don't know about all of that. I mean, I personally don't drink much, so that definitely wouldn't be a good gift for me. A hamper, I think, is always a good idea. I think there's always stuff that people can benefit from with a hamper. An I love you cookie. An I love you cookie. I don't know. I don't know about all of that, to be honest. Not someone saying the beer would do wonders in Czechia. Okay, the jacket, I've already spoken about clothing as gifts. I don't really think that they make good gifts. If you're going to, kind of what everyone has been saying in the chat, if you're going to buy someone a clothing related gift, is you're better off buying them an accessory or giving them a gift voucher to buy a garment themselves and they can try things on. Or like people also said, you can give them stuff with a gift receipt and therefore they can return it and buy something in a different size. £16 for a cookie. Oh my god, I wasn't even looking at the price. Wait, 1 second. Oh my god, so in Selfridges, an I love you cookie is £16. That's crazy. That's actually insane. It's be like, you could have just told me you love me. You didn't need to give me a cookie. Aphrodisiac chocolates. Interesting. Why are these gifts for men? They're a bit, I don't know. A masturbator. A love lobster biscuit. Why so much food? Are they trying to say all men do is eat? Just all these different cookies and stuff. Is that what they're trying to say? A lot of sex involved in this, isn't there? What are they trying to say? That all men care about is sex? Okay, let's see. And some more slow sex massage oil. What are they trying to allude to? What are they actually trying? GQ needs to get their mind out of the gutter. Why is there so much sex in this stuff? What are they trying to say about men? A lighter could be a very, very good gift if the person smokes, especially if they smoke like cigars and stuff. I think that's definitely a really good gift, to be fair. Okay, let's see. Best affordable gifts for him. Positions cards. Why? Look, GQ. Who made this list? Positions cards. What is going on here? What am I reading, guys? What am I actually reading? What are they trying to say about men? What is this? A face kit? To be fair, I've already said skincare, any sort of like skincare gift is not really good for anyone. I just don't think it's a good gift. Sweatshirt, don't really think that's good. Cheese hamper could be really great, but they have to like cheese. But by the time you're buying someone a gift, you should know if they like cheese or not. But that could be a good gift, though. As a man, I don't always think about sex, GQ. Yeah, exactly. The writer's trying to send a message to someone. Like, why so much of that? They need to cool down with all those kind of things. A glass, decanter, that could be a good gift for sure. Socks, maybe. A shoulder bag could be a good gift, to be fair. A mug, I don't really like mugs as a gift. I feel like you get mugs from everything. So everyone kind of always has too many mugs in their house. So I just don't think. I've always thought that mugs are a really bad gift, in my personal opinion. Pocket knives. Yeah, pocket knives could definitely be like a very useful gift. Use it to open packages and stuff. That's a good gift. Like a really fancy customized pocket knife. That could be really good. Black truffle hot sauce. I mean, it depends. Do they like spicy food? Do they not? But it could be a good gift. Monster whiskey. If they like whiskey, that could be a very good gift. Drunken love couples drinking game. Maybe. Maybe a cocktail shaker. Maybe if they're a drinker. Perfume, you can't really go too wrong with perfume so long as you have a good understanding of what their taste is in fragrances. Candle, you guys know how I feel about candles. I feel like you can't really go too wrong with candles, to be fair. It's very hard to go wrong with candles. Hot water bottle cover. And that's a Burberry one too, I think. Yeah. How much is that? 1 second. £261. It's down by £29. £261 for a hot water bottle cover. Unless they have a hot water bottle. I mean, unless you're going to buy them the water bottle with the cover, I think that's a bit useless. So yeah, that's a bit strange. It's hard to buy for men, especially if they have everything. Yeah, GQ has always been sex driven. I'm trying to think, do people buy me... I don't know. I feel like most times Valentine's Day is more like a thing for like women. I mean, me personally, I've never really been the biggest fan of Valentine's Day because I think it's kind of a manufactured holiday. It's kind of like a capitalistic manufactured holiday. I have this thing where if I'm my friends or if I'm dating someone, I don't need to wait for designated government days for you to know that I care about you or for you to know that we're going to do nice things. And that's kind of what I don't like about Valentine's Day, because it's like, I hate that there's an expectation that, oh, you need to do something nice for me today. When realistically, if I like someone or I'm friends with someone or I care about someone, I'm always going to do nice things for them. I don't need to wait for the government to be like, yeah, it's now the 14th of February. Let me do something nice. So that's why I've never really been the biggest fan of Valentine's Day, to be honest. But I'm trying to think, do people get me Valentine's Day gifts? Probably not, to be fair. So it's more of like, I feel like it's a thing more for women than it is for men, in my personal opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the chat. Yeah, someone is saying most holidays are to drive capitalism. Yeah, facts. Facts. I just love the message. Cheer, red, and hearts everywhere in the middle of winter, but it's lost its meaning. Yeah, for sure. I think, because what I mean is, like, I think there's an aspect to Valentine's Day that I find very performative, and I don't like that. I think it's more, like, if I'm dating someone, I feel like it's more of a gesture if I do something randomly when there's no expectation versus when there's the expectation because it's Valentine's Day. But I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Bro's trying to revolutionize his audience against the manufactured results of capitalism. I feel like most people in the chat seem to be in agreement with what I'm saying. So I feel like we all agree in that aspect. A puffer iPhone case could be a good gift if, like, they don't really have a fancy iPhone case and you have to make sure it's the right size. Mouthwash is crazy. Mouthwash is actually an insane gift. Like, I don't care what the circumstances. I can't imagine buying someone mouthwash as a gift and they're like, yeah, what a great gift. That is an insane gift. That being said, I wouldn't mind if someone bought me mouthwash, to be fair, because I mean, I have braces, so more so than ever, it's really important for me. I use so much mouthwash these days because you have to be careful when you wear braces that cavities don't form around where the glue is to attach the braces, so you have to always use mouthwash. So I use a lot of mouthwash now anyway. So if someone was like, oh yeah, because of your braces, I bought you mouthwash, then I wouldn't mind. But in general, that's a crazy gift. I can't see any circumstance where like buying someone mouthwash as a gift is like a good idea. It should not be on this list. Mouthwash is crazy. If you're looking at the GQ list, Please, I'm begging you, don't buy someone mouthwash as a Valentine's Day gift. Please do not do that. That is crazy. You are basically telling someone your breath stinks. Like, that's actually crazy. Okay, let's go on. This is so funny. A water bottle, you can't really go wrong. I have loads of water bottles and I don't really mind it if someone gifts me like a water bottle. They're really useful, to be fair. A kind of like mat or a rug could be useful if they don't have one. And if you find one that they would actually like, that could be a good gift, to be honest. Love you, but your mouth smells like ass. Kay says no, some people need it, floss and toothpaste too. Yeah, but some people obviously don't brush effectively, or some people don't even brush every day, which I find insane. It's like you are begging for your teeth to fall out when you're in your 30s. That's insane. However, if you have a friend that maybe has really bad dental hygiene or something like that, you're better off slowly trying to tell them that, like in a very sensitive way. But I feel like buying them mouthwash is not sensitive, especially for Valentine's Day. I think that's a bit insane. I don't think there's any context where it isn't insane to buy someone mouthwash for Valentine's Day. Let's see. Best personalized Valentine's gifts for him. Personalized champagne. I mean, that's a decently good gift. A key ring, I think you can't go wrong with a key ring. And if it's personalized with like something that odes back to a memory that both of you had, I think that's a really, really good gift. A personalized key ring. I think that could go really well. A ring, I don't really know. Sizing could be an issue. A personalized flask could be a good gift. I think that's kind of like a good idea. Mugs, glass or not glass, I'm just not really a big fan of mugs. I think it's really low effort. Personalized fortune cookie. That's actually a really good gift. I've never heard of that. I've never even thought of that. But yeah, like fortune cookies with personalized messages in them. I've never thought of that. That's actually a really good gift. Not gonna lie. That's a really good gift. GQ thinks we are men of shallow taste. It seems so. It seems so. It seems so. Personalized chocolate is really cool. Custom map. I don't know about a custom map, to be fair. A Star Wars archive, but what is GQ trying to say? To be fair, I am a Star Wars nerd, but still, what is GQ trying to say about us? Gazelle, I don't really think footwear is that good of a gift, to be honest. A pencil sharpener is... I don't think I have a pencil sharpener. But then I don't use pencil, so it wouldn't be useful to me. I don't know. I think it depends. If someone is like an artist or they draw a lot, getting them like a really fancy pencil sharpener could be a good gift. But how many people actually use pencils? I cannot physically remember the last time I actually used a pencil. Bottega Veneta tie. That's a good gift, to be fair. I mean, I want to buy a Bottega tie, like the leather ones. I think they're really cool. And I have like a really cool collection of ties. I have like this Issey Miyake tie that has a really cool texture. So I want to build to my collection. And I know Micah has a Bottega tie, so I can't buy the same one as his. He's going to be like, oh, bro, you copied me, bro. I bought it first. Timberland boots is insane. Ceramic bowl. Facial cream. Once again, I don't think that's a good idea. A toolbox. That is such a like Valentine's Day gifts for men. Buy him a toolbox. That is such a GQ, what is going on here? What is going on today? I'm really confused as to what is going on right now. A toolbox. Okay, that's interesting. Like a man that does handiwork around the house already owns a toolbox. The kind of man that fixes cars and does all those kind of quote unquote stereotypically manly things would already have a toolbox. So I don't really understand that. A toolbox is absolutely insane. No, let me go back. How much is that toolbox? £38. That's insane. Limited edition GQ grooming box. Wow, GQ. They just had to slap their own products into the list, of course. We love it. We love it. Shaving serum could be a really good gift. But the thing about beauty products, once again, like shaving serum, stuff like that, some people's skin is really sensitive to stuff. Like I don't really shave with like shaving sticks and shaving cream and all that stuff because my skin is really sensitive. So now I genuinely shave my beard with clippers. So I bought a clipper that's called a balding clipper. So it's for people that want to shave their head bald. And I now use that as like a beard shaver because that's the only thing that doesn't damage the skin under my chin. So I don't know about the shaving serums because people can have bad reactions to it. The commissions they're making off this, insane commissions. GQ isn't being shameful about anything. What is the best Valentine's Day gift for my boyfriend? I really want to know what they wrote here. Got a boyfriend, husband, or someone you've been dating for a while that you'd like to go exclusive with. Perhaps you're polyamorous and need to pick something up for a couple of your metamors. Whatever your situation, you're on the lookout for the perfect gift for a guy and need some direction on how to best say, I love you. Our first piece of advice would be to think about what it is that you want. Could it translate into something he might also covet? If you're hoping for a beautiful new set of lingerie, why not treat him to a lovely new pair of boxers? Already, the advice is bad. Already, GQ. Whoever wrote this must not know anything about dating, or just because you like something personally does not mean that is such bad advice. I like it, so you must like it. That's not how life works. That already we're on the wrong track, guys. Already we're already on the wrong track. We're already on the wrong track. Let's see what else they say. If you'd like to increase your stock of sex toys, why are we talking about sex too much? Why does everything have to be about sex, GQ? If you'd like to increase your stock of sex toys for spring, add an Arcwave Voy masturbator to his bedside drawer too. Perhaps your man even loves flowers, but you wouldn't normally think to buy him any. We're already on the wrong track. Let's see. How do I spoil my boyfriend on Valentine's Day? In the tradition of love's big annual celebration, men were always the treaters and never the treatees. Oh, how we've learned since then. Whether the guy in your life is someone you're casually dating or they are your nailed-on soulmate. Sorry, this is really funny. If you celebrate Valentine's Day, he deserves the same spoiling as you. Why not make him breakfast in bed? Present him with a homemade hamper of all his favorite beers. So, all men like are beers. What is going on here? Who in the world commissions these things? Valentine's Day doesn't have to mean teddy bears and soppy letters if that's not in his bag. And of course, if he's getting you a present, you should be getting him one too. Here, you'll find fantastic pics of presents. First of all, no. No, this is the sign of, people that don't have really strong dating experience. So first of all, just because someone buys you something doesn't mean you have to buy them back. Like when I buy someone a gift, I'm not keeping score. So I'm buying you a gift because I genuinely want to buy you something that I think you'd like. And I'm not expecting that there's a gift back. And actually, receiving gifts is not my love language. And I actually don't like people buying me gifts. I would rather be the person buying someone gifts than receiving them. If people want to do nice things for me, like my close friends know what to do for me, that doesn't include buying me gifts that I would enjoy. I like more like experiences. I like spending time with people. I like going out with friends. So a friend would rather be like, let's go to this really nice restaurant rather than buying me a gift because that's what I would prefer. But then I have friends that I know would prefer gifts, so I would get them a gift instead. So just because someone buys you something or does something for you doesn't mean that you have to replicate that back. That's not how it works. That's really bad advice, in my opinion. We need to boycott GQ at this point. This is crazy. That's crazy. That is actually hilarious. I knew it was going to be funny, but I didn't know it would be that hilarious. That was really, really funny. I had a good time with that. I had a really good time with that. To be honest, this feels like it was written by AI. Maybe it was. Who knows? Who knows? I don't think so. I think most magazines have dedicated writers, especially a magazine like GQ. But yeah, that article was absolutely insane. That article was so insane. Not to be mean, I accidentally had a physical GQ subscription for a year. It was like 80% ads and then 20% mushy writing to contextualize the ads. So glad I'm not in a relationship with that GQ writer. Yeah, that's insane. That was actually an insane article. But anyway, guys, let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on to a more serious topic, guys. Talk about something more serious. So, something that's a really big conversation in the world of luxury fashion right now is that China's luxury boom is over. And this, when I started really thinking about this and doing research into this, was first kind of informed by this video. We're not going to play it because I'm going to get copyrighted out of the wazoo. But if you want to watch it, definitely check it out. It's via Bloomberg and it's called Why China's Luxury Boom is Over. They made some really good points in the video, and doing my research, I kind of found out kind of a lot of reasons why people and luxury brands specifically are looking to different markets when it comes to acquiring new luxury consumers. So, the first really big point is that 50 million people were priced out of the luxury market recently. What is the reason for this? The main reason for this is because the price hikes have been insane with luxury brands. And when you couple that with an economic downturn, especially in China, a lot of the middle class is struggling economically. There's a property market crisis. There's a high rate of youth unemployment. And so even young aspirational luxury consumers that were around during the luxury boom, it's not really the same anymore. They don't really have the disposable income that they once did. And so, that's also a thing. Yesterday, I talked about the fact that a lot of people are more looking to experiences more so than luxury goods. So that's also a reason why I think that luxury consumer habits are changing. And that's why we see a lot of luxury brands now investing in hotels, investing in experiences, making pop-up cafes, doing all these different things. So that's definitely a thing. But I think one point that needs to be mentioned, that I haven't seen too many people mention, is actually the fact that the president of China, Xi Jinping, actually has talked about a few times the fact that he wants there to be more balance in wealth among citizens in China, right? And so because of that, there's actually like a governmental crackdown on, people that flaunt their wealth, which I found insane when I was doing research into it, right? This is a really good article on the screen about it. It's so insane. Like China's crackdown on wealth flaunting social media puts pressure on influencers both on the mainland and in Taiwan to echo the party line. And so that to me is the really interesting thing, because I feel like the government crackdown on flaunting wealth is almost deterring people or leading to people wanting to buy these products less, because then it gives you less to worry or think about, right? And so it's crazy. It's crazy that there's literally like a government crackdown on people that are flaunting their wealth. And yeah, like it says here, launched on April the 23rd, 2024, by the Cyberspace Administration of China, the literal meaning of which is clean and bright, aims to penalize Chinese social media influencers and internet celebrities deemed to be flaunting wealth or deliberately showcasing a luxurious life built on money to attract followers and traffic. its reach goes beyond the behavior of social media users on the mainland, with Taiwanese influencers feeling the heat too. So yeah, I won't really read through the whole article, but I think it's very, very important to like read through if you're interested. But it's just like a very interesting point. And okay, observing the Matrix is saying it happened a bit ago. Yeah, but normally when these things happen, it takes a while for these things to actually become like really start to affect, you know, like luxury brands and have like that knock-on effect, right? From when it's launched. Because it was launched in April the 23rd, 2024. So now is when they start to feel the effects of it economically. So many different factors is why, you know, we're seeing China's luxury boom kind of coming to an end. And it's very interesting because there are big alternative markets that a lot of brands are looking to. The first thing that came to mind is this show, the Dior Fall Winter 23 show that was held in Mumbai. This is kind of an understanding that luxury brands now understand that, you know, they need to start looking at different markets. And India is like the market that seems to be coming back a lot of times. India is the market that everyone is talking about. Everyone's like, yeah, India is the next thing. India is a place also where there are a lot of tech billionaires. There's a really big building amount of wealth in India because of a lot of people that work in tech and stuff like that. So that is the next market, and the economy is also growing quite rapidly. It's not really booming the same way that China's economy boomed, but India is seeing like economic growth. So that's why a lot of luxury brands and a lot of companies are really interested in India as a market. India is so undeserved. Like the rich people are literally begging brands to sell to them. So underserved. Sorry. Yeah. India is so underserved. I don't know why it takes all these luxury brands and companies so long to understand where these markets are. It takes them so long to understand these things. But something that I also found really interesting doing my research once again, there was a BOF podcast where Ravi was essentially explaining and unpacking the economic growth of India and basically explaining why India will not be the next China for luxury, which I found interesting because on one hand, a lot of luxury brands are seeing India as, you know, the next big place, but then there's an argument to be made that it's not really the same. And these luxury brands need to actually do their research and really understand how the economics are in India. So if you guys want, we can actually watch the video. But it's up to you guys. We'll do a vote. We'll do a vote. Should I do a poll? We'll do a poll in the chat and then see if you guys want to watch it or not. It's up to you guys. Let me just see if I can sort out this poll quickly. Let's see. Okay, so I've posted the poll. Let's see how you guys vote. Let me read the comments in the meantime. There's so many Indian students in fashion school in Milan. I feel like we're going to see a lot of cool stuff from India in the next few years. I think we already see cool stuff from India. I think India is so vital in the fashion world right now because India has so much expertise when it comes to fashion, especially in things of like sequin application, embroidery. Those things specifically are very important. Like the Indian market is so important for that. So I think we already see really cool stuff from India, and a lot of Indian brands use their expertise in those things to make really cool stuff. Siobhan says, I just saw Estee Lauder's installation featured on this topic today and thought it was cool, but it was all red and inertial looking and probably would be boring as a Chinese citizen. Yeah, probably. Okay, let's see what the poll is saying. Oh, damn. You guys really want to watch it. Yeah, I guess you guys win. So we're going to react to the video in real time and see what they have to say about why India will not be the next China for luxury. Let's have a look, guys. Let's have a look.
Friends, so today we'll talk a little bit about the Asian macro, then about China as a benchmark, because often people ask, will India be next China? And then try to demystify India, which is almost impossible. In fact, there is a magic in India staying as a mystery, and maybe there is some good answers for the world in that mystery as such. So let me first clarify, all of us who look at the data of the last 40 years of development of Asia, often ignore one major issue in all of the data. In the 80s and 90s,
Well, let me see. Culture had a really good. I want to see how India will address their wealth disparity because the rise of China also meant that they significantly cut down on poverty from government policy. India is currently ruled by Hindutva. Yeah, so that's one massive issue with a place like India because it's either you're living in like extreme poverty or you're like a tech billionaire or something like that. Obviously, there's a middle class everywhere, but in India, the middle class is very small compared to like a place like China or compared to, Western based countries, right? It's very similar to even my country in Nigeria. It's either people are like super rich or living in like crazy poverty. And the president of China is very adamant on making, on reducing wealth inequality and making sure that, it's more balanced. Like I even said, that's why they're cracking down on people that are flaunting their wealth. So it will be very interesting to see how they address that with the economic growth. So that's a very, very good comment made by Culture.
Most of the data presented as Japan and Asia ex-Japan. In the last 20 years, it's China and Asia ex-China. And often Middle East is combined with EMEA. A lot of us do not realize that Middle East as a name was a mistake made by an American in 1854. We all carried. It's neither in the East nor in the middle of that East. It is West Asia. And if you combine that figure, today Asia is the largest factory of the world and also largest market of the world. So just look at some of these figures for garments. 77% of the world production is in Asia. Watches, full watches or the components, 82% of them are made in Asia, and accessories, 83%. And not only Asia has become the factory of the world, when you talk about the consumption as well, Asia now is the largest market of the world, and across all these categories, more than 50%. One big question, however, is that is the factory of the world. It is also the largest market in the world. How come its share of value in these categories is so low? Only 21% in garments, 7% in watches, and 17% of value. Because that value resides in brands. And where do these brands live? The brands are today for these categories are still in Europe and US.
Someone is saying that they didn't know that India would boom. But I think you would know if like, you're into tech and stuff. Because India is like really like developing fast in the tech world, for sure.
For the first category, a little bit of Japan, but otherwise Switzerland and USA for watches and fashion accessories still there. And we Asians work very hard. We open our stores from early morning to late evening, 363 days of the year. We close either for Diwali or Chinese New Year 2 days only. We take much less holidays, work much longer hours, while Europeans enjoy 45 days of holidays. I can tell you that Europe is on notice. Within a decade, this would change. This would change because we Asians are now starting to learn how to build.
Someone in the chat said pharmaceuticals too. Yeah, that's very true also. That's facts.
Brands as well. Now, of course, we don't still have experts like Bob Shard from Fresh Britain, but again, we're trying to adopt some of those. But it is already happening. If you have not noticed, some of the categories, like airlines, the top 3 airlines in the world are Singapore Airlines, Emirates, and Qatar, all 3 Asian. Top hotels in the world, look at Mandarin Oriental, Six Senses, Rosewood, Aman, all born in Asia. And we are creating a new brand called Jaya now, which will be a combination of Aman with culture of Soho House. All this innovation is coming from Asia. So if it has happened in those 2 great categories, it will happen in this as well. So Europe has to watch out. Now talking about the story about India and China. India-China story basically started because of a very serendipitous moment that happened exactly 46 years ago on this very day, 13th November of 1978. Deng Xiaoping was invited by France as a state guest. And China didn't even have a plane that could go directly to Paris. It had to refuel. On the way to France, it refueled in Bangladesh. On the way back, it refueled in Singapore. And he met Lee Kuan Yew. On that day of 30 November, he asked Lee Kuan Yew, how did you guys develop this country into such a incredibly developed place? And he told him we did only one thing. We opened up the country to the world. We invited the world to come and trade here. You guys in Beijing are much more intelligent, big mandarins and titans. If you open up, you could win the world too. He literally, from the 30 November meeting, took a holiday in Lijiang.
I see people in the chat, you guys are making good points. Like someone is saying that, the way that China was able to build infrastructure quickly versus, the likes of India shows why like India won't have as big of a boom as China. I think that's a very fair point, to be honest, because China has extremely advanced infrastructure. But part of when a country booms, it just depends on the government. Because if the Indian government uses some of the money gained from this economic growth to build the infrastructure, to then allow more commerce to be available because they've built the infrastructure and improved it, then over time, that would definitely improve things. And then our thoughts on, how far India can go economically will be a lot more positive in terms of like it being the next China, or so to speak. But it's hard to see because I feel like India is very much like Nigeria. And I have like, my best friend's actually Indian. So we talk about like Nigeria, India all the time, right? And Indian government is so corrupt, like the Nigerian government. So it's kind of like, do they want to build the infrastructure? Do they care to build the infrastructure? Or do they just care about, like buying expensive cars and like living lavish? So that's the thing. That's the problem. Do they care about building the infrastructure as much as the Chinese government do? Or do they just care about lining their own pockets? So that's the problem.
Wrote this famous paper and presented next month in the 11th plenary session of the Congress, National Congress. And that paper was called Reform and Opening Up. And that influence of Lee Kuan Yew led to China opening up in 1979. 1980 was actually the first year a first private enterprise license was given in China to a woman who was making buttons called Chang Huamei.
Someone just said all governments are corrupt. There's levels to corruption. Beverly Burke, I don't know where you're from, but I feel like unless you're from somewhere like India or Nigeria, I feel like people don't have a concept of how bad corruption can go. Because like in the UK, for example, corruption is it's diet corruption compared to somewhere like Nigeria, right? Because in the UK, I remember during COVID, Boris Johnson gave the contract to his friend to do like trace and track and stuff like that. And it was like a multi-million-dollar contract. So of course his friend benefited from that, and it is corrupt because you didn't give the contract to the best candidate. You just gave it to your friend, and then your friend had to figure it out. And that's why it was really badly done, right? That being said, the UK government is still mandated in a sense that you have to still spend a lot of the money on like government things. So like if there's a budget for the roads, you would literally go to prison if you stole the money that's meant to be used to pave the roads. Or if there's money that you're supposed to give to schools, like there's a budget for schools in the UK, all that money actually goes to the schools. So yes, in the UK, they might be corrupt in the sense they give their friends contracts, they give themselves contracts, but they have to actually still put a lot of the money, the government money, into what they say they will. Now, Nigeria, the level of corruption in Nigeria, and India is kind of the same. So like the level of corruption in Nigeria is the kind of place where like a governor will just be like, yeah, I'm taking everyone's pensions and there's nothing you can do about it. I remember when I lived in Nigeria, the government, some governor would decide, yeah, I'm taking the whole education budget. So when they take the whole education budget, literally, there's no money for the schools. So then teachers stop coming to teach students in schools because they aren't getting paid because now there's no education budget anymore. The governor stole it. So then schools just stop running. And then kids go to school and they're like, no teachers. And they just go to school. And that's like the level of corruption. I've never in my whole life living in the UK ever seen a situation where someone in the government, like an MP, steals the money that's meant for a school, and it means that there's no money available to pay the teachers in the school, which means that teachers don't turn up to the school. I've never, ever, ever seen that in my life in a Western country. So when we say corruption, I know people say, yeah, there's corruption everywhere, but like there's levels to corruption. In places like, you know, certain Asian countries or certain African countries, I feel like a lot of people don't have a grasp of how bad corruption can get because you're far removed from it, because you haven't lived in a country where corruption is that bad. But trust me, there are levels to corruption. It's like in Nigeria, they will literally just take the whole education budget and be like, or like I've seen cases where they would take like the budget for hospitals, and people are literally dying in the hospitals because they don't have the money to buy the equipment that they need to keep the hospital running. It's like insane.
And then started the whole enterprise. And look at in 80s and 90s, 20 years, it goes on to become a factory of the world. First started in the Pearl River Delta, those 3 states, and eventually across all of China. Now, of course, these 2 nations have almost same population. India is now across China and growing faster. But when it comes to luxury market, talk of any brand, be it Mercedes-Benz or BMW, or talk of Louis Vuitton or Cartier or Patek or whatever, India is less than 1%. China is about 40%. How did this happen? Could this happen in India going forward as well? That's the big question. But if you look at China, in 1990, China was where India is today, about 1% of the market. It's exactly similar. There were about 5 malls in China, and the rest of the brand had to go to 5-star hotels to open stores. That's how first big Vuitton store was in China World Hotel. India is exactly about that. In the 10 years, it didn't develop much. In 2000, China's economy was still smaller than New York City's economy. New York City economy was 2.7 trillion, China was still 2.3 trillion. The real takeoff happened in 2002 when China joined WTO. And as the Americans call, things went off the charts, be it in consumption or exports, all of that. And by 2010, it was clear China was the next big thing. And then came the largest economic expansion ever in the history of this planet in that decade of 10 to 20, and 10% become 33%. You know, if you go to World Bank...
Someone is asking, isn't Nigeria a rich country? I think Nigeria is a good case study when we're talking about like India's growth, because, which is why I'm okay to talk about it, because a country can be rich, but it doesn't matter. Because Nigeria is technically a rich country in the sense that like Nigeria produces more like petroleum than regions in the UAE. And if you think of how much UAE countries, like, well, the UAE and like Middle Eastern countries have developed since they discovered oil to where they are now is absolutely insane. But that's because they have people in power. There's a moral conversation about how they behave morally, which is questionable. But in terms of like caring about the country and developing the country, they obviously care. When I traveled to Qatar, if you're Qatari, first of all, it's really hard to become like a native Qatari or to get any form of like Qatari passport or anything like that. And they've done it that way so that if you're Qatari, you essentially own everything in the country. So they make it where tourists want to come there, tourists invest there, but then tourists can't really have any ownership there, and it's only people from there that have all the ownership. Whereas somewhere like Nigeria, we produce more oil than the UAE, so technically we should be richer, but we're not, because we just have people at the top in the government that literally steal all the money and don't care to invest it in like the country in any way. We have gold, people steal it. We have every natural resource you can think of in the world. We have cement in abundance. We have sand in abundance. We have everything. Like limestone. It's just people control it. Like people in big places control it. And so in Nigeria, that's why the class disparity is insane. That's why you have like a really huge, like most people in Nigeria are living in poverty, basically. And then you have like a really small subsector of like ultra rich people that steal all the money and work in politics. And these are the people building mansions, buying houses in London, buying Ferraris all over the place. They have a house in Saint-Tropez. So, you know, that's the problem. And then also we sell ourselves short because the people in government only care about themselves. They don't care about the country. So a good example, China is slowly buying up parts of Nigeria because the government is signing all these deals with the Chinese government. And the Chinese government are smart. So they know fully well that over time, because our government doesn't care about the country, they're just going to like fumble the deals. And stipulated in these contracts is like, well, if you can't afford to pay for these things over time, then we'll just own that piece of land. So obviously in 10, 20 years, China's just going to own parts of Nigeria. It's the same thing with our petroleum. So can you imagine, like, this might turn into a rant, but it's kind of what happens with these countries, right? And I'm passionate about my country, so it is what it is. But can you imagine that in Nigeria, right, we, for the most part, don't refine our own petroleum. There are multinational companies that refine our petroleum and sell it back to us. So I don't know, I need to do research on how much this is still the case. But when I was living in Nigeria, we would mine our own petroleum, sell it to the USA, and buy it back for more money. Like, in what world does that make any sense? But the reason why that happens, by the way, is because people high up in the government are bribed to do that. So they are personally incentivized to sell out the country in a way by giving the US a good deal and selling them unrefined petroleum and buying back refined petroleum for more. So we own the natural resource and we make a loss on our own natural resource. It makes no fucking sense. And there's a billionaire in Nigeria who morally, once again, there's issues with him morally, but his name is Dangote. He's the richest man in Nigeria. He wanted to build refineries so we can actually start, refining our own petroleum. And there was so much like governmental blocking. He wasn't actually almost like not allowed to build refineries, and he's still fighting it. And do you guys know why he's struggling to build refineries so that we can actually refine our own natural resource? Do you know why? Because Shell is a really big player in Nigeria, and they are one of the countries that owns or like runs a lot of the refineries in Nigeria, and they run a lot of just regions in Nigeria, right? So Shell is lobbying the government to block Dangote building these refineries, because obviously if we start refining our own natural resources, then so many countries are going to miss out, and so many countries would suffer because of it, right? So this is the level of corruption. Like, so when people say, yeah, every country is corrupt, there's like levels to like I feel like a lot of you, if you're based in the West and you live in the West and you're not from any other country, some of you would find it so hard to even fathom the level of corruption that exists in like different places. So bringing this back to India, this is why it's very hard to see how they could have like the same boom as China, because of the corruption that exists there.
Bank in Washington, D.C., they have the motto to get the world rid of poverty. Entire World Bank effort across the world from 1950 brought only 380 million people out of poverty. China alone, credit to them, took out more than double of that out of poverty in that period. It's the largest economic expansion ever in the history of the planet. And that leads to this. So it's almost always linked to the basic economy. Yes, number of people, same. But if you look at people who earn more than $12 a day, who you can call broadly as consumers, the number in China is exactly similar to the number of people who are not consumers, who are poor and vulnerable, earning less than $12 a day. So that's the thing. The starting point is very, very similar to their 1990. Now, if you look at this other data, per capita income, 2,700 to 13,000, about 4.8x, let's say 5x. If you look at upper middle class looks big, but when it comes to upper middle class, it's only 30 to 35 million, which is like a Germany middle class, whereas China is 120 to 150. That's another about 4 to 4.2x. So if you take 5x and 4x, that's your 20x multiple right there. But where is the other 2x multiple? The other 2x multiple lies in the fact that, like Japan or Korea, China also adopted a lot of Western culture. The men would wear suits with tie, like in Japan or Korea, whereas in India, it's still very, very Indian. And that's one of the major things about India. India across the segment, be it for men or women, is very Indian and will remain so for a long period of time. And there is a lesson in that. This is another aspect. We were just talking earlier about China starting to get old, and India is still a very young country. But there are two lessons here. China's demographic dividend, which I define as the year when number of people working became more than number of people dependent. In China, that started in 1998. 98 was the first year after 250 years, there were more people working than dependent in China. Unfortunately, that lasted only till 2018 because of single child policy.
Someone in the chat said it's only a matter of time before it becomes westernized. That is kind of true, because normally when there's an economic boom in like a country, then a lot of like Western based companies come and they kind of change the culture. They start building Starbucks and like different things in the country, and then slowly it becomes westernized. It's not necessarily a good thing, because you kind of want different countries to maintain their culture and also be unique. But that's kind of just what happens from, like, if you just look at every other country.
Policy. Once again, the number of dependent are more than number of people working. So they lost that. India, in fact, the demographic dividend, exactly of the same figure, started in 2018, same year when China ends that demographic, is likely to stay for 41 years. Now, India, therefore, has great raw material of youth that is now getting into workforce, and provided India can really employ them well. That is India's challenge. India is today, has very large number of people unemployed or partially employed.
Exactly what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the wealth divide, where he just mentioned that loads of Indians are unemployed or partially employed, and that's like a big issue that needs to be addressed.
On the other hand, the other lesson here is China getting old, not necessarily bad, as you saw in the previous presentation. The older generation having less money to spend on kids, having less money to spend on new homes for new kids, could spend much more on themselves. Not only that, China's real problem today is not consumption. China's bigger problem today is the property market. Ever since China became, from 1980 onwards, the home ownership was it didn't exist in the country. 73% of the household investment, 73% went into property in the last 40 years. This is the highest in the history of the humankind anywhere in the world. And that market overbuilt, and today you have an issue that 33% of the economy, which is property market, is moribund. 7 of the top 10 property makers are likely to go bankrupt. And Chinese government has decided not to bail them out, but let the pain be absorbed by the economy. So yes, it will be 2 or 3 years, or probably 4 years of pain that China will have to go through. The second issue is China is facing geopolitical challenges across the West, particularly Trump's election clearly signifies that there'll be bigger challenges for China. So therefore, anybody who's involved in export-led economy is likely to face headwinds going forward. But
just wanted to show you guys something quickly, just to add context to the thing I was talking about in terms of Nigerian refineries, because I think these things are really important, because how an economy grows depends on things like the government and how these things work, right? And so you can use Nigeria as a case study for what's going to happen in India. But this is exactly what I was talking about with the refineries and Shell kind of being involved in, them being blocked. So Dangote, who I was talking about, made a 750 million offer for the local refineries and to kind of take them over and kind of run them properly. And Obasanjo, who was a former president, blocked it because apparently we have an inability to and even the crazy thing is, right, he said that the NNPC, which is like the National Petroleum Company, is unable to effectively manage the national refineries, and he still rejected the offer from Dangote, which is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. It's so insane. And here he's talking about how, Shell also rejected his offer, which is insane. I think people don't realize how much, like someone said it earlier in the chat, right? I think Shell is genuinely a criminal organization. Like the amount of death that they've caused in places like Nigeria and other countries, and the amount of government power they have, and the fact that they can, lobby the government to block certain deals that's in the best interest of, a country, but obviously they don't care. Just care, and they like demolish the environment. They've had so many oil spills in Nigeria, destroyed our environment. Like that company is honestly one of the worst companies to ever exist in the entire world. But I think it's why I just wanted to show you guys this and add this context is just so you can see the corruption, the levels of corruption. Like, look at this quote here. I asked Shell to run the refineries for us, and Shell said they wouldn't. I asked them to take equity, but they said no. Later on, I called the boss of Shell to come and tell me what the problem was, and he gave me 4 or 5 reasons. He said, first of all, they make a major profit from upstream, not from downstream. He said they run downstream just to keep their head above water. 2, he said our refineries were too small. 60,000 barrels, 100,000 barrels, and I think 120,000 barrels. He said that at the time, the average refinery was going for 250,000 barrels. So there you have it. There you have it, guys. But let's continue watching the BOF video.
Yet China is growing. How is China growing? By the China was smaller than New York economy in 2000, but now it's $18.3 trillion economy and is growing at a slow rate, 4%, but still that is higher than rest of Asia's growth overall. So what is growing in China still is a consumption. People are richer, people are consuming better. Yes, it has stalled for the time being and it's less consumption in luxury because you need good mood, which doesn't exist today. I think 2-3 years from now, China will go through this cycle and come back better. So do not count the dragon out. Dragon will remain important, and therefore in all your strategies, do not start taking that out. India, now all of you saw a few months ago the big Ambani wedding. That Ambani wedding did a big service to India, but also a disservice. Big service, I put India on the map, put Indian luxury on a show. Yeah, from Kim Kardashian to Mark Zuckerberg, all adorned in Indian attire, showing up there was great. The disservice was the aspect that they live in a 2 billion home, 4 people living in 400,000 square feet of space, right next to the most densely populated, largest slum in the world. I hope Mr. Ambani will take on the mantle of another gentleman who lived in the same city in 3-bedroom apartment, Mr. Ratan Tata. He managed the equally large empire, and he gave away in his lifetime $102 billion to charity, more than Bill Gates and Warren Buffett together. I really hope he takes on that mantle going forward. India needs that service. Another aspect, now beside India being different, within India, India is very different. And here I'm just describing 4 major arenas of India, but within each of those is also very different. So north of India is all about pomp and show, living for the day, overspend. Because India was attacked 64 times, of which 38 times the conqueror was successful in capturing some part of India or entire India as such. So these people are always facing wars. Who knows about tomorrow? Live for the day today. So the south, on the other hand, was very protected. And people in the south live very different life, but they live very, very subtle luxury. Western people are perhaps the most connected to the Western world. So today, if you are in Mumbai saying that I bought this particular bag in Palladium Mall or in the Taj Hotel, it's really losing the magic. You want to say that I was in Harrods with so-and-so, or I was in Rue Saint-Honoré and I bought it there. That's what they want to do. So East, on the other hand.
So how could they change that? That's a very interesting point, kind of talking about the nuance of the different kinds of people in India and how kind of like the customer profile, right? That's really interesting, saying that it's not special to say that you bought the bag in an Indian mall, so you want to be able to say that, you bought it in Harrods. How can they change that? Because if they want that luxury boom in India, you want it to be socially acceptable and also special to buy it within the country. It's kind of, in China, what made it, a big market is because people were buying loads of luxury goods in China. Like, people weren't going to the UK and buying all the luxury goods. Otherwise, it would show up on the report as the UK being the biggest market, right? So how do they fix that? Because it's more of like, this is kind of more of a cultural, social, societal thing. How can you shift that?
And is the true intellectual capital of the country. Almost all major philosophers, all major scientists, mathematicians, musicians came from there. Those guys do not want to indulge in so-called luxury. If you want to sell a piano or send a violin, yeah, you go to Calcutta. These guys are intellectual to a fault, so much so that they elected a communist party to govern them for 7 times in a row in a multi-party system that was the continuously longest-serving communist government in the world. Intellectual to a fault, but true genius capital of the country even today. The other issue in India is, as in many economies, Africa and Asia, the parallel economy is very large.
Oh, I didn't know he's about to hit them with the corruption conversation. Okay, I didn't even know because I haven't seen this yet, but this should be interesting.
A very large part of that parallel economy goes into one asset class, that is land or buying apartments. Because India has severe rules to send money abroad, but for a few thousand people, they don't have Swiss accounts or Singapore accounts, and they typically put that corrupt money into land. As a result, land is very expensive.
So people are making interesting points. You can't, when you say luxury, most people think of Italy, UK, France, China, and Japan. Yeah, but it wasn't always the case. You know, Japan as a market is not that old. Like, Japan only really started to become like even though Japan was the first big luxury market outside of the typical places, and then other places followed suit. But like, it's not that old. Like, Japan in the 80s was not seen as like a really big luxury market. This stuff is quite recent. It's quite recent. It's not like France or Italy, for example, or the UK, which are more historic when it comes to the luxury fashion market. So I feel like because a lot of these, like China, especially China being a luxury market, is quite recent also. So in a 20-year span, they could change mindsets on making India seem that way also. So it's just like, how would they go about doing it? But I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible at all, to be honest. Neo says it's like having storefronts that are evidently extravagant and somewhat a spectacle in comparison to their existing malls and stores. I guess that could be a huge thing. That could be a huge thing. Swear the 80s was huge for luxury influences in Japan. Yeah, I mean, the 80s was huge for luxury, like, in general in Japan. Like, that was just it. I think with the UK's PR crumbling a little bit, India have their chance. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, Japan in the 80s were going wild with crazy spendings before they were met with Plaza Agreement and bubble burst. Yeah, facts.
Well, land is so expensive that to build a mall and make it profitable is very, very difficult. As a result, there are only 5 malls. Unless, like in China, if government subsidizes or give free land to build malls, it's likely to remain the biggest constraint. The other issue, some of you who have dealt with India realize India also has the big issue of incredibly complex customs, very high duties, and also very, very difficult process. India has got its act put together to really open up on infrastructure and also open up its regime. The other question is not only for general fashion, but is India ready for luxury? You know, once Bernard Arnault told me that you cracked China, but being Indian, how come you didn't ever crack your own market? And I told him that LVMH is not luxury enough for India. And he said, yeah, right. And I said, no, Mr. Arnault, I'm actually serious. And then he goes, why do you say so? I said, there was a time when India is a great market.
Shots fired. He's like, LVMH is not luxury enough for India. Let's see what he said. I'm sure he's going to sugarcoat it slightly. But in my mind, I kind of know what he was alluding to.
For luxury. There was a time when Louis Vuitton sold almost quarter of his sale to India. Cartier sold about 1/3 of his sale to India. But if you go to Cartier headquarters, there's Maharaja of Patiala's picture on the screen with a tutti frutti necklace. It was Indianized jewelry. Maharaja of Kapurthala was the largest collector of Louis Vuitton trunks. Almost every trunk was made for some particular Indian practice. And that Indianization was very, very important piece of that. Even from UK, Rolls-Royce sold the largest number. First air-conditioned car, first Phantom were all delivered to India. And those were all Indianized in their look. When Birmingham was the biggest center for luxury, By the lot of people would not believe that England was ever a center of. It was, and there was a company, Baccarat equivalent of the time called Osler, for making crystal chandeliers, and all Nawab of Hyderabad and Maharaja of Udaipur, they will send something made in wood to Birmingham from India, so they could copy the same design in crystal and sand. So that has always been a big element. Indian luxury will always remain very Indian unless you Indianize, unlikely to crack that market. And you saw in Ambani wedding that aspect.
So that's a good point he made, that you have to make products that are specific to the Indian market. What he said is Indianize these products to make them sell in the Indian market. But I don't think that should be a problem for a lot of luxury brands because they already do that with China. Like there are so many Chinese exclusive garments when there's a Chinese New Year. These are Chinese exclusive things that you can only buy in China and it's specific to that market. There's so many Japan exclusives. So many brands do like Japan exclusive things. It's specifically tailored to that market. Even not just luxury, Nike. I'm so jealous of Nike Japan because Nike Japan always has these really unique colorways and unique designs, but it's because the market in Japan appreciates that, and the markets in, the UK or different parts of Europe and the US don't really, at least according to them, what the research that Nike has done, they feel like consumers outside of Japan wouldn't appreciate it, which is why they don't produce it. But Nike Japan gets everything. They get everything. So I don't think, specializing products for a certain market is anything new. I think they could do that quite easily, to be honest. But it's good that he's pointing it out because maybe a lot of people didn't realize it. Like a lot of these luxury business people don't realize it because some of them are not, really privy to these sort of things. They're quite out of touch with everything.
So across the spectrum, be it youth, and you see that not just in Bollywood, every aspect of Indian life. And that is why if Kim Kardashian wore a Western dress, would have looked like a sore thumb. Same for Mark Zuckerberg. So that is India for you. The other aspect of India, I would say, as McKinsey report clearly said, that India, given it has got large youth population, now they're getting the workforce a large way, and they're becoming a big consumer. But bulk of that is value for money consumer. So if you are a value for money player, you certainly, via Zara or Nike or H&M, that's a big market for you. Of course, the constraint of mall still remains. If that can get cracked, that's a big play. The other part is Western luxury, particularly accessories, can still do. So we might make a great costume, but don't make good shoes. So you then buy Baluti to go with Indian. And the same thing is true for women with their bags and all. But when it comes to jewelry or garments, it's very, very difficult for Western brand unless they invent. Hermes made a sari collection. Dior made a sari collection. It was sold within a week. And I wonder why they didn't do another collection after that, because that was more done for the launch.
See what I mean about a lot of these people that make business decisions at these luxury brands don't have a clue. You have to wonder how these people get jobs. How can you launch a sari collection, like a luxury brand launches a sari collection in India, it sells out immediately, and then you never produce one again? And these are the same brands that are talking about complaining about luxury slowdowns. And they talk about all these like really complicated business models that they have. Like, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing that to try and improve. And when they talk to the shareholders, and it's like, or you could just do what you've seen that already works, which is like do a sari collection in India and like involve a lot of Indian artisans on that. Literally, they got direct positive feedback and threw it away. That is the literal definition of like not knowing what you're doing.
but not followed up on that one. They cleared the lesson. Customized to Indian way of life. So it's not only basically the look. India, you take Dior Homme. Maybe there are 5,000 Indians who can fit into that. Ergonomics of our bodies are very different. There is only one company that has done the study very well, which is Marks & Spencer. Marks & Spencer has M&S standards. They're the only ones who study the ergonomics of bodies across Asia, not just India. So those who are into manufacturing try to adopt those standards. They have the best information. And finally, manufacturing locally. There are brands like US Polo Association at, again, value for money level, or a better value like La Martina, which is a phenomenal brand for Argentina. They are now making it in India, and India is now the fastest growing market for them. So many of these elements you have to keep in your strategy to do that. And again, other aspect of value for money is often, like in China, by the way, 1990 onwards, for Dior, beauty was the first segment to enter with, where you could indulge in luxury at a very low price point. And that's how India could also be started in those segments first: beauty, accessories, and onwards. So overall, India has got its act together to put going forward.
Hey, what is Kai asking me? This might be controversial. Do you think these Western brands believe that the Indian market cheapens their image in the West? Not saying to me, by the way, but to that. Yeah, I know what what question you're asking. You're not saying that that's what you think. I don't think so, because I think that these luxury brands, there's nothing that they could do where people would see their image as cheaper, because they already sell to the highest bidder. They sell everything possible. They've cannibalized every single brand that they run, especially the big conglomerates. Everything that the brand stood for, they've kind of destroyed that. The quality is down. So the price is up. So at this point, I don't think any market that they could go into could potentially cheapen the brand, to be honest. I don't really think that. I think if they cared about how their brand, if these brands actually cared about how their brands is viewed or how it's branded or who wears it, they have to make sure the right people wear it. They wouldn't have the business model that they have, to be honest.
Forward, but brands also have got their whole agenda in front of them, what to do. One, to Indianize. Second, to customize. Both are essential, otherwise not likely to win in India. Second part, if, for example, if you are Omega watches, you will sell more Constellation.
So let's see. Dior and Louis Vuitton's previous Sari collections were seen as superficial attempts at cultural appropriation, lacking genuine engagement. But then was it seen that way because then it sold out? So like, I feel like sometimes there's a disconnect between like what people that can afford this stuff buys and then what the outrage is in social media. Because why I'm saying this, by the way, is because I feel like there's different perspectives you can have. So for example, when Dior had that recent collection in India that was inspired very much on Indian silhouettes and stuff like that, I spoke to my best friends, because once again, my best friends are Indian, and I was like, what do you guys think about this? Like, do you like it? Do you not? And they both had different opinions, in the sense that one of them said that, you know, it's cultural appropriation and things along those lines. And then my other friend said, actually, she appreciates it because she feels like Indians aren't seen, or she feels like there's no visibility for Indians in the luxury space. So in a way, she kind of appreciates that they are taking the Indian market more seriously, and that's kind of part of the proof of it. So I think it almost depends on the perspective you have. But the buyers definitely came from a perspective of like, they're just happy that, you know, the luxury brands are catering specifically to their market, which is why it sold out. So I can imagine. So I think sometimes there's a disconnect. And this is also true also. The outrage was mostly on Western social media. The Indian customers bought it up. So that's also another thing where sometimes a lot of people in the West have outrage on behalf of people, like on behalf of Indian people, when actually a lot of people that are there on ground are just buying it. And they're like, yeah, finally, we have something that's, you know, catered towards us and our market. So I think it really depends. Yeah, I understand, but then it proves the point when they did not follow up and produce it. No, but then it's up to them to kind of do the study on the people that are buying it. What do they think? And clearly they didn't really care because it sold out. So they have to do their research and like figure that out. But I mean, that's their job. I'm not going to do the research for them.
Which you can see from a distance to north, but you sell DeVille to the guy in south. If you're Patek Philippe, you sell Nautilus to the guy in north, and you'll sell simple strap watches in the south. And again, as I mentioned, if you're Stanway and Sons, you would go nowhere but go to Calcutta. So in this, adaptation is very, very important as well, part of India. And India, again, as you said earlier, stupendous growth is right in front of us, but bulk of that growth is led by very young population, yet with a very low per capita income, and therefore bulk of the play is an aspirational. So if you are in aspirational play, go to India today, this will be your biggest play going forward. In luxury, you still have to work. So Slumdog could become very much a millionaire, and all of you could have a great play in it. But there is one last thing I will leave with. India has to make sure, particularly Mr. Modi has to make sure, they do not make this geopolitical darling into a pariah if they make the democracy into illiberal democracy. As Tina Brown yesterday said, India is going in the wrong direction on that front. You may lose that status. The second message to all of us, while
Someone said Chanel's CFO is Indian. I don't know who the chief financial officer is, but the CEO is definitely Indian. The CEO of Chanel is definitely Indian. I don't know about CFO though. Also, Leah says, yeah, I think there is somewhat of an issue if you are primarily benefiting outside of the country. Doing that in a country is less offensive. Yeah, fact. So it's a very different situation. And that's why these brands just need to figure out how they do it and how they navigate it. I think, let me be very honest, let me be very frank. I think a reason why a lot of these brands get accused of cultural appropriation and they don't know how to navigate it is because a lot of people that are the heads of these brands are like really rich European, mostly French people or Italian. And those are some of the most out of touch people you'll ever meet in your entire lives. So they don't even have like the social awareness to know how to do things in a culturally sensitive way where they won't be accused. Like if you go into a country, you work with local artisans, you pay the local artisans, they work on a project, you create kind of jobs, you create the garments for the local market, and then you make sure that you sell it in that market first, and then whatever's left, then you can sell it in a market elsewhere. If that's how you do it, there'll be little to no, oh, this is cultural appropriation and all that sort of stuff, because it's literally Indian clothing made by Indians for Indians, just with the budget and the company of, or being sold by a Western brand. But there's a way to do it where it's not going to be seen as, culturally insensitive. But a lot of these people struggle because, I've spoken to a lot of these people that work in fashion. They don't even know anything about any other country to start with. So they couldn't even begin to understand like cultural differences and stuff like that. That is too complicated of a conversation to have with these kinds of people. That's why they always struggle to do things like this. Yeah, of course, if you're doing like an Indian marketed collection in India, of course most of the models need to be Indian. It doesn't make sense for it to be any other way because that's literally who you're marketing to. So once again, I just think they just don't have the range sometimes to really understand how to navigate these things. So yeah, that's the issue.
While we are trying to make India adapt the West, I think there is a message for the West to adopt from India. Two most famous Indians ever have still very relevant lesson for us today. Buddha, who said, all your unhappiness comes from your desires. Less desires, more happiness. And second, Gandhi. He gave up his Savile-Row wardrobe and Northampton shoes. When he died, he had one attaché case with 3 dhotis made with self-spun cotton dhotis, 2 pair of shoes, 1 pair of eyeglasses. But he still made it to Time magazine's cover as Man of the Century. So we can adopt a little bit more of Gandhian, simple living, high thinking. Thank you.
That was a really good speech. That was really insightful. I really, really enjoyed that. Someone's mentioning Lena Nair. Yeah, that's the CEO of Chanel. She was at a pharmaceutical company before she went to Chanel. I think it was Unilever. But let me see. Let me test my CEO knowledge. Lena Nair. Yeah, she was the former chief human resources officer of Unilever, but yeah, now she's the global CEO of Chanel. Yeah, so yeah, CEO of Chanel's Indian. Wait, someone harassed me on a plane once about enabling culturally appropriating because I made a blog post about Mexican style embroidery and folk style on the runway. This was quite a while ago. She was crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Would you consider Maison Maison Margiela, well, Martin Maison Margiela, tabby shoes, cultural appropriation. Um, to be fair, I don't know. I don't really know, but I don't think so. I don't really know, but I don't think so. I wouldn't say so. I mean, if someone can recognize that they do not have an idea, that sounds like a perfect time to invite someone who is from that given and specific cultural background and mark it onto your team. Yeah, but you need to understand once again, like because all you people here watching the live stream, you guys are actually intelligent people. And I don't know how many of you watching the live, maybe some of you are really, really rich, but I just think that as a byproduct of growing up in an extremely rich environment, you're very sheltered. And that sheltering prevents you from mixing with a lot of people. And it also prevents you, therefore, from gaining like social understanding of things, which is why like sometimes I go to business meetings with certain fashion people that are high up in like the business world, and they say things and you're just looking at them like, this is the person that makes decisions on like where the directions of the collections go. So when like cultural appropriation happens, I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised, because these people don't get it. They just don't get it. So it's like, it's very hard for that kind of person to even understand that it makes sense if you don't understand a certain market culturally to actually maybe hire an Indian consultant to learn about the Indian market. Sometimes it doesn't even occur to them because they're that like out of touch with just the world that it doesn't actually occur to them that that is a good decision to make, which is why they have people like me. That's why I have a job. So that's the problem. You're smart, so you're like, it's normal. Why wouldn't you just hire someone from the country to understand the market? But it doesn't occur to them. Those kind of ideas don't come to their mind. Just make a collab with a designer from that country. It's like so easy. Yeah, but you guys are saying things that these people don't think about. I'm telling you. Honestly. Honestly, it's just how it goes. It's just how it goes. It's only appropriation when the people appropriating has oppressed the culture they are borrowing from, but not to make this about cultural appropriation. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I love Kartik research, by the way. I'm a big fan of Kartik research. I'm a big fan. Even hiring a person from that market doesn't work. Hiring an Indian without understanding the caste system and regional differences has its own issues. This is also true, but like, this is why even if they were to hire someone from there, they would do it in a, because when these luxury brands eventually hire like someone to help them understand the market, they always do it in the most like generic big company way that doesn't allow for any nuance. Because like, okay, someone like me, for example, I know all about the Indian caste system and how it affects like how society is in India, and kind of like the discrimination that happens because of the caste system and how that affects the economics and blah 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 blah. Anyway, but I understand that, and I'm not even Indian, by the way. But I only understand this because, I mean, I grew up in London. There's loads of Indians in London. My best friends are Indian. I mix with a lot of people. Going back to these people don't mix. They don't talk to a lot of people from many different cultures because they're just sheltered. They went to a school. Like, a lot of these people grew up in schools where everyone was a rich Italian or everyone was rich and French. So just by virtue of their upbringing, it doesn't allow them to have a very, detailed viewpoint on like the world, or understanding things across the world, or understanding cultural nuance. So even when they do hire the Indian consultant, it might just be someone from a certain perspective of Indian culture and society, and they wouldn't have the understanding of the nuance to take that information, but then also inform it with what you know and find where the balance is. They can't do that. You're asking a lot from these people. You're asking a lot. A lot. Yeah, sheltered and dare I say hateful. Exactly. Hiring is one thing because that is more important for internal company culture, but at least market research or hiring people in positions of decision making locally is what creates a difference. Yeah, true. True. Maybe the sheltering is deliberate. Um, I mean, partially it's deliberate, but I think part of it is you're just kind of a byproduct of your environment. Like if you are a billionaire, then you just want to send your son to what you deem as the best school. And maybe the best school where you are is some like 50,000 euro a year private boarding school in France. But then who else is in this private boarding school in France? In France, other French elite people. So then when you grow up in a place like that, what tends to happen is you grow up with viewpoints that French elite people have with French elite people, and then you don't learn about any other cultures or anything. And those people leave the school with that mentality, and then they are fast tracked into really high business positions because their dad owns the company. Like your dad is Bernard Arnault, your dad is, so you're fast tracked. So that's why these are the kind of people that just will not get any other culture. They just won't get it. They just see everything business wise is just they're looking at numbers on a screen. So that's why culturally they always struggle when it's like different markets, and they make decisions that are really questionable. But it's not really their fault in a way. They're just a byproduct of their environment, if that makes sense. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, true. True, very true. Because I think people neglect to understand that most researchers in other countries are Western based and essentially have the market sway with these companies, so the researcher bias becomes evident. Yep, that's very, very true. There is a lot of research bias that happens in these spaces, to be fair. But to be honest, that's why it's more easy for them to westernize the collections bit by bit. Yeah, to an extent. But yeah, anyway, guys, I've been on live for 2 hours. It's been great. It's been amazing. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please follow me on Twitch if you have a Twitch account. If you guys have Spotify accounts, you can actually watch my live streams back on Spotify. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to the Patreon for extra content, or you can check out my ebook, which is on effective ways to learn about fashion. But yeah, on that note, I'll be back with another stream very soon. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning